This is Geneva with Marquis of Vaudeville, and I'm blowing it up on Capital Chaos TV.
None believes me, queen. The cards will fall, my dear.
Cool. And how did you two get together?
That's the story for you, Geneva, I suppose.
Well,
I'll start off
okay.
by saying that we started the band in 2009 and had some other members. We had a different drummer and a different bass player, and we performed. We put together these elaborate events, and in doing so, we have variety acts that would be true to vaudeville, being that the name of the band is Marquis of Vaudeville. We have, for instance, we'll have sideshow elements, we'll have burlesque elements, various forms of dance, maybe ballet. We have exotic instrumentation like sitar and tablas, things like that. Aerial artists, circus performers, those sorts of things. And we had another band that was booked with us at one of these, and Geneva was in that band. So I'll let you take it from there, Geneva. On your
Okay, well, I was in a band that was opening for them, and we get there to unload, and I see these guys, like, setting up the stage, and they're putting vines and flowers up and all these fabrics, and they're dressed in these, like, fancy suits, and I was just like, oh, my God, we're going to have to sit through these guys before we can go home tonight. Because in my experience, usually when a band spends a lot of time on their appearance, that means they don't spend as much time on their music. So that was a stereotype I had in my mind, and I was kind of miffed that it's like I just assumed they're going to be terrible, and then they started their sound check, and my jaw dropped to the floor. I couldn't believe how good they sounded. So and then later on when they played their set, they sounded even better, and I was just like, oh my God, I wish I could be in a band like this. And then a few years later, I was in a band like that. So
she got her wish. Not many people get their wishes.
Very cool. And how did you both get into music? Who turned you on to rock and roll?
As for me, I had an older brother who was about 6-7 years older, and then my mother and father had this huge record collection, ranging from Beatles to Zeppelin to Cream, and so we just spent so much time kind of digging through those records. I think Brian, our guitar player, who I grew up with, he was the same way. He had an older sister, and he had a record stash of his mom and dad's, and so he and I kind of grew up together, digging through those record collections and listening to whatever we could. Geneva, what would you say your influence came from?
Well, I guess a lot of my influences are like comes a lot from classical music and composers for film and such. And I was kind of a weird kid. Like I never even listened to the radio until I was like 13 or 14. And I was in band and I played oboe and saxophone and piano, and so I was just kind of into all that. And then probably halfway through high school, one of my friends brought a Seven Dust album to school, and we listened to it during one of our math classes, which is kind of weird, but that's what we did. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And that's when I started listening to rock music. And then a little bit after that, I was like, I want to start learning how to play guitar. And then I eventually made my way over to bass. So that's kind of how I got into it.
I started playing music when I don't know if you're familiar with the shootings that went on in downtown Dallas. About a year ago, Geneva? But
yeah, it was about a year ago.
A madman went to the Black Lives Matter rally and then shot a bunch of police officers and people. And my cousin was one of those police officers. His name was Brent Thompson, and he gave me my first guitar when I was probably about, 19 or 20. he gave me I started a little late, and he gave me an acoustic guitar at that time, and he played, and so he and I would just sit around playing together, and that's kind of how I started playing, I suppose, was when Brent gave me that guitar.
Oh wow, that's a traumatic situation right there. Did your
yeah?
Did he pass away, or did he make it through?
No, he was killed in that incident. He was the, I don't know if if you saw the news, but there was footage of one officer that was engaging the attacker. That the attacker had full body armor and an assault rifle, and my cousin just had his standard issue pistol. And I think he was reloading behind a pillar, and that was all caught on. It was all caught on tape, unfortunately. So yeah, he died in that gunfight. It was a really difficult time, and it still kind of hits home. We're the family's been dealing with it for over a year now, and I don't think it'll ever get any better. But he gave me music.
For that, you could be thankful for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm calling from California, and you are obviously calling from Texas. Texas is a open carry state, I take it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
We're just as long as you have the proper paperwork. So.
Are guns a big part of were guns a big part of your growing up?
Mine, yes, because my family, they all hunted, and so I used to go hunting with my family, and then I think at some point, I don't know, I couldn't really tell you what specifically changed my mind or hit me, but I started thinking about. I suppose if my family were out in the woods somewhere and someone decided to come and hunt them, I think that's what made me decide, that really wasn't for me. I didn't, I don't have anything against people who hunt, but as just personally, it's not something that I do. And Geneva's a vegetarian, and I'm not full vegetarian, but I do my best to eat vegetarian with her. So.
And I would assume that how big of a part of has religion played in your life as a youth? Were you forced to go to church at all?
As for me, I wasn't. My family didn't really force me to go, but as a young child, I went to my family. We were from a small town, and my family, like even my grandparents, went to the same church, really old church built in the 1800s. And so I would go to Sunday school there and go to church. But I think when I was in my teens, I started delving into just reading about anything and everything, different cultures and all sorts of religions around the world. So I think that I'm more of a spiritual person, not so much a religious person, and that I have beliefs that I suppose could be pulled from a lot of different religions, including Wicca. So I'm kind of all over the board. I don't know if that's something you want to, Geneva, if you want to throw anything else in.
I didn't hear the whole question, actually. You broke up a little bit.
Oh, the question was basically how big of a part of religion is placed, how big of a part of religion has been in your formative years, or were you forced to go to church? You come from a religious family, and where are you at with that now?
Growing up, my family was extremely religious. We were so religious, in fact, that we didn't celebrate any holidays, and we kept Sabbath every Saturday and weren't allowed to basically do anything. And I've kind of gotten away from that. I don't know if I consider myself an atheist right now, but I'm probably much closer to that than I am to any religion. I don't know. I have some resentments towards it, but I don't really have resentments towards people so much as far as what they want to believe. That's great. Just don't press it on to others, I suppose, is my stance on it.
She didn't grow up in Texas. She grew up in California and Kansas. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Toto.
Yeah, I've only lived in Texas for a few years.
Oh, okay. How do you like Texas?
I like it. I used to live in Wichita, Kansas, so there's not a whole lot to do there. So I like it a lot in as much as there's a lot to do here. Not so crazy about the temperature all the time, but other than that, I like it all right.
Cool. And you have your debut album is about to drop? Is that right?
Our sophomore album.
Our debut. Yeah, it's our sophomore album. Our debut album dropped in 2012. It was called The Great Promenade of Fools and Ghosts.
Oh, okay.
And so this is our sophomore, and it's called The Tragic Valentine.
It's 13 tracks of goodness. So yeah, 13 tracks. Most albums are top out around 10. Is there 3 extra, or is this a concept album that 13 tracks are necessary?
Our first
album had 19 tracks.
it had 19 tracks on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And it kind of flowed with these orchestral segues, because we have like our alternative rock songs, and then we would have some orchestral segues, kind of in the vein of Danny Elfman from Tim Burton films. So that one had 19. The new one that has 13 is being that the album's The Tragic Valentine. It's essentially this tragic love story, which is told through the 13 songs. I guess you could call it our own Romeo and Juliet tragedy love story. With it has, I guess, elements of mystery and magic and intrigue and revolution. It all leads to this finale in the end. And I think the thing with this album is that in writing it, we never like to spoon feed people. So I write the lyrics, and so when writing the lyrics, I tend to write in a more cryptic way, so that there are pieces that people can take from it, and that would be relevant to anyone's life in the way that I've written it. I try to leave it open, and so I like the people who listen to be able to get whatever it is they need out of the song, rather than tell them what it is that I'm saying and what it is, and how they should feel. So, and with this album, we wrote each song has 2 different meanings. It has its own individual meaning, and then it has a meaning that fits within the story, that tells the story. So if you look at it one way, you see that, this is maybe a more direct way. It looks like this song's about Alice in Wonderland. And then when you look at it another way, that song has a deeper meaning that fits within the story. So.
Wow, that's heavy. And this is
a pretty complex way.
And Not Right Lane Records. That's your own record company that's putting out. You're putting out yourself. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're Not Right Lane Records is our own record label that we're putting this out under. We do everything independently, 100%, including the video that we put together. It's all done by the band. Every event that we put on, it's a huge production that will have numerous people working on it, and be very elaborate staging and decor and acts, and all of that is done by the band itself. So we're 100% independent.
And is that have you been approached by labels in the past that haven't really interested you, or does DIY just sound more appealing, or where are you at with that?
Well, so prior to this band, myself and Brian, the guitar player, and also we don't have Noah who plays drums for us. Noah's not with us today as well. Brian and I were in a previous band called Stars Agora, and we were working with Geffen Records with that band. We flew out to LA and did a showcase at the Viper Room, and I got to talk to, I guess it was, I don't know if he's still president, but it was Jordan Schur at the time, who I think he discovered Limp Bizkit and some other bands. But we were working with Geffen, and we saw all the ins and outs and how it worked, and how, okay, well, if a label's going to spend this much putting the album out, and then, you know, if they're going to pick you up in a car, and then they're going to, that car takes you somewhere, and you're going to have a dinner, and then you have the dinner, then you go to the studio, and they pay the producer, and they pay all these people, that when the album's finished, and that first album sale that you make, that goes back to paying for that car ride you took, and then the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth album sale goes to paying back that meal that you had. And then so we saw how it worked, and how really, you know, those things that seem like they're perks and you're getting them for free, that you end up paying for in the long run. And so when you analyze it, you know, what really is the perk of if you can do it yourself, and do it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be paying back the label for everything that they've done to put that album out. If you're able to put it out yourselves, then immediately you're making money. So that's something to always keep in mind, I think, for independent artists. A lot of the people that have the pipe dream of getting signed and, you know, being big stars and making it, they don't really realize that that's how it works. You know, they think there are bands that they're hugely popular. Like 30 Seconds to Mars, for instance, they did the documentary, which showed them on I think they were on their third album at that time, and they were touring the world, but they still hadn't made any money. So I think that's a sad state of affairs. So we're just doing what we can on our own to get out there and like you said, DIY.
Have you noticed? I mean, you have physical product and obviously digital product. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you? Is there like a balance between the sales there, or is there one particular? Because everybody talks pretty much now of digital. I know plenty of people that buy that are Spotify users that don't buy albums anymore. They don't buy albums not because they're stealing albums or they're not interested. They love music. Just physical product seems to be not as relevant as it once was. And you know, the whole point of signing to a record label and or obviously a major label was they had distribution. Well, if there's no need for physical product, then that you can distribute it yourself. Do you find that your digital sales are growing or better than your physical?
Well, I would say that depends on how the person discovers us. You know, if generally people that see you at a live show, they buy the physical. They're not going to. Some of those people, yeah, they'll say, "Well, I'll buy it when I get home." But I'd say the great majority of those people, if we're like we just got back from Dragon Con, which is this huge fantasy event in Atlanta, Georgia. I think there's like 100 to 130,000 people attend that event. So there's tons of people there, and I'd say the great majority of those people that we encountered bought physical discs, and wouldn't you say, Geneva? There were maybe maybe five of them said they were going to go home and buy it. You know,
right? Yeah, and then we have like flash drives too with all of our music on, and some people bought those as well. But yeah, for the most part, all of our sales at Dragon Con were physical sales.
Yeah, but then, of course, if someone discovers this online, I do see the trend of, I'm going to go and look them up on Spotify. And so when you're weighing digital versus physical as far as actual album sales, I think we see more physical album sales because most people that are going to do the online thing are going to find it on one of the streaming services. Some of them go by it, and we do see some of those sales, but most of those people, like I said, that do the digital thing are they're using streaming services when they listen. Wouldn't you say that's what we've seen in the past, Geneva?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your album comes out this month, this year. What month does it come out?
It comes out actually, on Halloween this year.
Nice. And I would assume that you have some special festivities for Halloween. You care to fill us in on?
Always. Halloween's our busiest time of year, just due to the kind of dark yet playful nature of our music. We do a lot of events on Halloween. In the past, we've done like the Anne Rice Vampire Ball in New Orleans and Endless Night Vampire Ball. We do a lot of, I think this year we're doing a Witches Ball around Halloween. And we're doing our own CD release, which is called Unlucky 13. And the Unlucky 13 being that it's held on Friday the 13th of October. It's our own local CD release that we're going to be doing, in which everyone that comes has to they have to, I guess, take a look at superstition and just what would you say, Geneva? What would be the correct word?
I don't know. Basically, everyone. The idea is everyone to just defy superstition, and they're going to have to walk under ladders and break mirrors and open umbrellas and doors, and we're going to have a seance and tarot card readings and things like that. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, we figured the state of the world is in such a sad state right now that what could it hurt? So we're trying to generate as much bad luck as possible to flip it, to convert it to good luck. That's our thoughts behind this event.
Very nice. Are you hopeful about the political situations of the world and obviously our great country? Or are you fearful?
Personally, I'm always hopeful. There's always some sort of my being that has hope for any situation. I feel that with the state of things, I feel that there are enough of us out there that are, I wouldn't say fully enlightened, but that have enough sense and that are good enough people to get behind the causes that matter and get on the right side. I feel that the way things have gone down in the past couple of years, I feel that some people have lost sight of what's right, and some people have lost sight of, I suppose, not necessarily wrong and right, but they've lost focus, and so a lot of people are confused, and that a lot of people don't know where to go and don't know where to turn and don't know what to do or how to act or how to be now, because the world's such a different place than it was 10 years ago. But I think those, if there are people that can stand up and use their voice, and people that come together, to use a Beatles song. I think that anything can be accomplished by people standing together and anything can be accomplished as long as there is hope, and as long as people are striving to do what they feel is right. Some people could do that and be misguided, but I think it's important to keep an open mind and try to look at other views and to not just think your way is always the right way. I think that's especially important now with the state of things. We have to be understanding. We have to be accepting. And when we're not those things, I feel that that's one of the downfalls of humanity, is when we're not accepting and we're not understanding and we're not open to ideas and we're not. Do you feel the same, Geneva?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
And
sorry if that was a bit long.
No, that's fine. It's fine. What do you want people to walk away after listening to your music or experience your live show?
As for me, the reason when we created this band, I'll speak to the live show first. My thoughts were when talking to the other guys and putting this band together. When we do a show, I don't want it to even be called a show. I want it to be referred to as an experience. I want people to go, and I want it to be an escape. And they don't have to worry about their job, and they don't have to worry about the woes of the world. They can go and they can just slip away and enjoy this imaginative world that we've created. And like I said, it's just an escape for a while. That was my thought with the live events, and I suppose with the music as well. It's like we kind of want to open people's hearts and minds and open a portal into another world where people can just slip away and just kind of lose themselves in the music, I suppose. So there's. I think a big part of what I was saying with the previous question, a big part of that, and a big part of what our some of the elements of our songs is, it's about love, and not just love, romantic love, but just love between all things, and having a respect and love for other people and for other things, and knowing that we're all connected in some way. So.
And just a few more questions. What do you guys have after Halloween? What do you have planned for the rest of 2017? And do you have any plans for 2016 in stone yet?
Let's see. After Halloween, after the album drops, we're going to be focusing on booking for next year, for 2018. We're going to be we're talking about going overseas sometime in 2018, so that's something that's on our list. And we're going to we've got a ton of songs. I mean, we could have spent forever putting this album together, so we'll probably start working on recording some new tracks once we drop this album, touring on the album at the same time.
And a new video as well.
Yeah, we got a new video we're going to be dropping as well. So.
What kind of gear? What kind of instruments and amplification is bringing us the Marquis of Vaudeville sound?
Go ahead, Geneva. You can say what you use.
I use Ampeg, and I play Ernie Ball basses. And then I also use Mark bass and some of their effects pedals, and then also a Tech 21. So, and that's about it for me. I don't have a lot of different effects that I use. So.
Yeah, I use basically a Shure 55 SH Series 2 mic, which is kind of the old school crooner looking mic. I really like that. I play mostly Ibanez guitar, and then Brian, who I'd say uses the most effects and everything, being the lead guitar player. He plays Fender and Ibanez, and he uses Marshall amps. I think he uses a TC Electronics G system, and with various effects pedals. You generally Chandler effects pedals, and then Noah on drums uses DW equipment, PDM drums and Sonar drums, Zildjian cymbals. That's his gear, and I think he uses Vader sticks. So.
Cool. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me on the phone. Do you have any final thoughts or dirty jokes you'd like to close this out with?
Geneva, do you have a dirty joke?
I don't.
Don't have a dirty joke? Oh, okay.
None that's from mind.
Well, we're excited to get this music out there. We're also very excited to get this music video that we put together out there because, like I said, it's 100% done independently. And I think that when people see it and realize these guys did this by themselves, that's going to blow their minds because we think it's certainly something special that most people haven't seen before. And also the album.
We filmed it in 3 different states.
Yeah, we filmed it across 3 different states and multiple locations. And we're just really excited to get this music out there. Drive people to hook up with us at movmusic.com and keep in touch with us. We always like meeting people on the road, and we stay in contact with all those people. If anyone ever sends us a message, we reply personally to those messages. We always try to keep up with everything going on our social media, and so come find us. We love keeping in contact and finding new fans and reaching a new audience. So.
None but leaves me queer. The cards will